Good morning. This is Father Stephen Kelly from St. John's Church in Detroit. We're continuing our series of daily morning meditations, where we generally look at one or another of the lessons that are assigned for morning or evening prayer, what is known as the Daily Office Lectionary. Today is Friday, and I thought let's take a look at the lessons assigned from St. Luke's Gospel, the 6th chapter, beginning at the 12th verse. And it came to pass in those days that we went out to a mountain to pray, and continued all night in prayer to God. And when it was day, he called unto him his disciples, and of them he chose 12, whom he also named apostles: Simon, whom he also named Peter, and Andrew his brother, James, and John, Philip and Bartholomew, Matthew and Thomas, James the son of Alphaeus, and Simon called Zelotes, and Judas the brother of James, and Judas Iscariot, which also was the traitor. And he came down with them and stood in the plain. And in the company of his disciples, a great multitude of people came out of all Judea and Jerusalem, and from the seacoast of Tyre and Sidon, which came near to hear him, and to be healed of all their diseases. And they that were vexed with unclean spirits, and they were healed. And the whole multitude sought to touch him, for there went virtue out of him, and healed them all. And he lifted up his eyes on his disciples, and said, Blessed be ye poor, for yours is the kingdom of God. Blessed are ye that hunger now, for ye shall be filled. Blessed are ye that weep now, for ye shall laugh. Blessed are ye when men shall hate you, and when they shall separate you from their company, and shall reproach you, and cast you out as your name as evil. For the Son of Man's sake, rejoice ye in that day, and leap for joy. For behold, your reward is great in heaven. For in like manner did their fathers unto the prophets. But woe unto you who are rich, for you've received your consolation. Woe to you that are full, for ye shall hunger. Woe to you that laugh now, for ye shall mourn and weep. Woe to you when all men shall speak well of you, for so did their fathers to the false prophets. Okay, so this is the Sermon on the Plain from St. Luke's Gospel. Now, most of us are used to hearing, wait, don't you mean the Sermon on the Mount? Well, that's Matthew's Gospel. And so these two writers of the Scriptures have different accounts of the same teaching. Now, let's figure this out. They're the same teaching, right? They're the same set within almost complete agreement of what Jesus is teaching. One is set on a mountain, one set on a plain. Well, I'm pretty sure that Jesus taught these things more than once. That is what I'm assuming. And I'm not the only guy who's thought this way. Other Bible scholars, matter of fact, I'm not smart enough to figure it out on my own. I've read it from other people's books. Said that, most likely Jesus preached these things we call the Beatitudes in several places and several times, because it wasn't being published, it wasn't being broadcast, it was being addressed to the company. And these sayings they're gold, right? They are important enough that multiple communities should be hearing these messages, right? And so I'm sure he preached them in more than one place. But it's interesting that Luke's account of this also has the woes attached to it. That not only does he talk about what things are blessings, right? If you're poor, that you'll be rich later. If you're hungry now, you should be filled. If you weep now, you shall laugh. But he also gives warning to those who've already received their consolations in this life, right? And of course, as like the other Beatitudes, Jesus warns you that if you are going to follow him, there'll be people who will discourage you. There will be people who will say bad and evil things about you, because that's what they say to people who are trying to do God's will when they are not, right? Your being good will either attract them to the faith or will cause them to recoil, because they don't want their sin to have to give. They don't have to give up their sin, and they don't want to acknowledge it. And so they will lash out. But either way, just keep being blessed. Keep following Jesus. Keep trying to please him with all your heart, your mind, and your soul, and your strength. Love him. So, of course, today I'm still away on holiday, so there's no public worship here at St. John's. And quite frankly, today is, well, if I were home, we would not have public worship on Friday anyway. So anyways, say your prayers, as always. Pray for your parish, pray for your priest, pray for the city, pray for your neighbors. Pray for your enemies, love them too. And I'm praying for you, and I hope that your Friday is full of blessings.